Hey, Paul. Thanks for being here on time. Paul? Hey, Paul, can you hear me? I can't hear you. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Hey, guys.
Hey, Tyler.
Sorry I'm late. Having a hard time connecting.
1 second. Paul's having a sound issue.
I can't hear you. Try adjusting your output settings.
Can you hear me?
Your icon?
Tyler, are you on hotel Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
Never mind. I got it. I just had to change a few settings. Great. Get started then. Oh, great.
I think your mic is like this. There's the other seat.
My mic? Do you have headphones?
Want me to put them on?
No, what you smell them. God. Watch it. Hey, Beth.
Hey everyone, sorry I'm late. I had to download a new version of the platform.
You should plan extra time for the updates. There's pretty much one every time.
Sounds like somebody's doing.
Hey guys, it's John. I had to call in. I'm stuck in traffic. Have I missed anything yet?
No, it would have been nice for you to join the rest of us, but we'll see you when you get home. All right, while everyone is here, finally, Tyler, do you have that financial report?
Well, it's been the last few weeks updating our books, and I got some great news for you. Schedule from this point last year. We had a great Q1.
We lost Tyler, I think.
Am I frozen? I think I lost Tyler.
Yeah, I know we lost Tyler.
Hey guys, it sounded like Tyler was cutting out.
No, John. All right, while we wait on Tyler, why don't we go over all of the reports? Beth, are you with us?
Oh yeah.
Okay, everyone, I know some of you have to leave soon, but I just wanted to go over a couple of the areas before. Okay, excuse me. My wife's out of town this week. Daddy's, I'm so sorry. Okay, you just spilled grape juice on the carpet. Daddy's in a meeting. Tyler, can you go over the numbers one more time, please?
Beth, an adjustment. Is that?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, that's my iTunes sign.
Hey guys, hang on. I'm gonna join in. Hey, what platform are you guys on? Skype? FaceTime?
It's in the invite.
Oh, never mind. That's it. You guys are in the invite.
Okay, now I can see everybody. Let's reschedule and let's just do a regular old conference call, okay? Paul, can you have David send out the 9-digit passcode? I heard you.
He's been here the whole time.
All right, everybody. I'll see you later. Like a lot of video conference calls, this one sucked. But it wouldn't have had we been using Zoom.
Hi. Thank you, Julie. Hi, so my name is Paul Vladimirsky. I'm the product manager for University IT, and Zoom services falls under my purview. I'm here to kind of describe why we chose Zoom, what's happening with BlueJeans, to give a little intro before we delve into the demo of the actual platform. So Zoom was selected by an entire committee after an evaluation process, an exhaustive one actually, with over 50 demo participants, and different organizations from across campus came together to evaluate multiple different web conferencing platforms. I think Skype for Business was evaluated, so was WebEx, and Zoom was chosen as the primary solution because of its user interface, simplicity, its streamlined approach to delivering the service. So there was definitely a selection criteria, and Zoom was chosen for a reason. Now, what's happening to BlueJeans? BlueJeans was selected as an enterprise service about 3 years ago. It's expiring on July 1st. So after July 1st, the only way you'll be able to host meetings is via Zoom. So after July 1st, you're not able to host meetings in BlueJeans anymore. We also, for folks who have recordings in their BlueJeans cloud, so if you recorded any meetings, download them before July 1st. Otherwise, you lose access to them. If you have any problems or questions or concerns regarding your BlueJeans recordings, please come talk to me afterwards, and we can see if there's any way to assist you with the process. I know it's cumbersome, but it has to happen because you won't have access to your recordings after this point. So, why did Zoom get chosen outside of the user interface? Well, primarily it's interoperable, just like BlueJeans is. Zoom is able to work on most OS, or the primary OS, like Mac, Windows, Linux even, with mobile devices like iOS and Android and BlackBerry. Um, it even allows participants to join from room systems, right? You did that with BlueJeans. You could do that with Zoom as well. There are a couple of caveats. There is a major caveat here in regards to room systems having to be encrypted to join Zoom meetings hosted by Stanford employees, but we'll cover that a little bit later. And the other major option to join meetings is via phone. So toll and toll-free numbers, international toll-free numbers that you'll be able to dial to join a Zoom meeting if you're working remotely. So the agenda for today is to go over how to install, how to set up Zoom, how to manage meetings, right? Scheduling, inviting, scheduling on someone else's behalf, hosting meeting, and some of the interface that you'll be dealing with once you're hosting or joining a meeting. So some of the options there. And then we'll cover some of the support functionality here on campus and how do we support Zoom in general, and hopefully if we have time for a Q&A session afterwards. So with that in mind, Julie, please.
Will this be visible in the future or the
So this session is being recorded and will be on the Tech Briefing website. On top of that, we will be covering how to get additional training or see some of the information that we have in this slide deck for you to access in your own time. So we'll cover some of the options that you'll have to access this information later.
And the cheat sheet you have in front of you also has almost everything we're going to cover today. So a couple of things. I don't mind being interrupted with questions. So if you have a question, just let me know and we'll stop and cover it. If you're online and you have a question, type it into chat and Rachel will get my attention and I'll answer it for you that way. I have a couple of questions for you before we start. How many of you have used BlueJeans or WebEx? So almost all of you have done some video conferencing before. How many of you have gone and tried to log into Zoom already? So a couple of you have, and I assume if you have that you've downloaded the client and been able to log in successfully. All right, so good news. And how many of you mostly just schedule meetings? A couple, and then the rest of you schedule and host and run meetings. Okay, good. All right, well, let's start with installing and setup. I'm going to do this part of it in the slides because I can't do it for real because it's already installed on my machine, but the rest of the demo we'll do live within Zoom. All right, so for install and setup, you go to stanford.zoom.us. This is how you'll always access Zoom, is through this URL. And at the very bottom, you'll see a little thing that says download right there. You're going to click on download, and that will take you to this download applications and plugin page. You will have to download the client in order to use it. The client is what runs video meetings, and so it'll just force you to do it. So you download the client. If you happen to use Microsoft Outlook, if you use the client version, not the web version, you'll also want to download the Outlook plugin because it'll just make it easier for you to use. But you don't have to. Once you download it, you'll install it like you would install any other application. Just double click on the file. And once it's installed, it'll prompt you with a sign in and login screen. You're going to choose the sign in with SSO option. You only have to do this one time, but when you are presented with this screen, choose the one on the right. Stanford, I know this is going to be hard for you to remember, but Stanford is your company domain. It's not too tricky. And then you'll be prompted for your regular Stanford login credentials. So you don't need any special username or anything to use Zoom. It's just your student ID and the password that goes with it. Most of the time when you get to that login screen, once you've done this one time, when you get to that login screen, you're just going to get the web login ask. Does that make sense? All right. Single sign-on. Yeah. When the application opens, you're going to get a little screen that looks like this. You can, if you want to, go to your profile. That's the first thing I did. So you're going to click on the little down arrow there, and you'll go to your profile. So this is where I'm going to hop out of PowerPoint, and I'm going to hop into the application. Big. All right. I'll go to my profile. So from in your profile, you can do a few things. You can put a photograph of yourself here. It's nice to do that because when you log into a meeting, the default is that your camera will not be on. So it'll at least show a photograph of you until you turn your camera on. If you are in a meeting and you don't want people to see you anymore, you can always turn your camera off and then they get the photograph of you. So it's a nicety, but it's not required. The other thing that we should talk about on this screen is the personal meeting ID. How many of you have used that feature in BlueJeans or in WebEx, your personal meeting ID? Not too many. So your personal meeting ID is like your own private conference room. And I want you to think of it like a room. So if you are sitting at your desk and you want to have a one-on-one conversation with someone who's sitting next to you, the two of you get up and you can go into a physical room to talk to each other. Right? That's exactly what this is like. If you're on the phone with somebody and you want to show them some slides, or you guys want to whiteboard together, you can say, hey, jump into my personal conference meeting room. Here's the number. And you can even send them a link to it. And you guys can jump into an instant meeting and chat with each other, right? You can see each other face to face. You can collaborate. You can share slides and all those things. But it does work exactly like a room. So, say you scheduled a meeting using that personal meeting room number. So your meeting was going to go from 9 to 10, and you were going to meet with Susie. And then you set up a meeting at 10 o'clock with John. But John dialed into that personal meeting room 5 minutes early. John just walked into your room, and your meeting with Susie. Does that make sense? So it works exactly like a physical room would work. Anybody can come in and out of that who has the number at whatever time they want to. Yeah.
Did the other person have Zoom?
Yes. Yeah, everybody has to have Zoom. But for, other Stanford employees, that would be the case. And this personal meeting ID, by the way, is a number that you assign to yourself. So I'm trying to learn my work phone number, so I put my work phone number as the number that's my personal Zoom meeting, hoping that that will encourage me to learn it. But you can use any 10-digit number that you want to use, okay? It's not connected to anything else. For meetings that you are scheduling for a group of people that are going to happen from like 9 to 10, the system will generate a random number for you like any other conferencing system would. Use that for those kinds of meetings. This is really something that you want to use just when you want to have a stand-up pop-up meeting. Make sense? All right, great. Some other options here, but I don't think there's anything that's particularly useful. All right. Meeting settings. This is another opportunity for you to go in and play around with how you want to set up your system. You can have chat be on, have chat not be on. You can have the ability to be a co-host or not. You can have breakout rooms. You can do all kinds of things. I'm not going to go over all this stuff. Zoom has really good documentation about all these pieces. So if you want to dive in and get a little more advanced information about them, you can go there. But know that you have a lot of setting options in Zoom. All right, so let's dive into meetings. Yeah, I haven't touched anything, so the things that I have in my meeting settings are the defaults. And Zoom is pretty smart and their defaults are good. So unless you're doing something particularly fancy or, complicated and there's a reason that you need to do something, change it. Otherwise, just leave it the way it is.
So,
go ahead.
Just to add, the question was, are there any settings you would like to change as you log in for the first time? And there are settings such as auto record, for instance, that automatically records a meeting every time you schedule one or host one. So you might not want to do that, or you might not want to allow people to join the meeting before you as a host start it. There is an option to deselect that so people can start a meeting you're hosting before you actually start participating in that meeting. And you might want people to go into that meeting space and start working before you join. So you might want to deselect that option, right? So review that stuff and see what makes sense for you as you're starting to host meetings and schedule meetings for your participant collaborator.
All right, meetings. So there's a lot of ways to schedule a meeting. in Zoom, both within the web app, in the desktop client, and from Outlook. So I'm going to go through all those pieces for you so you can see what they all look like. Meetings is the easiest way to get here. Schedule a meeting is always persistent at the top of the page. Schedule a meeting is here. This list is meetings that are scheduled for me or meetings that I'm scheduled to be in or co-host. When you click schedule a new meeting, you get to put in a topic, a description. You can choose when you want it, how long you want it, what the time zone is. If it's a recurring meeting, you can choose that. Zoom is not quite as sophisticated with its recurring meeting as, say, like Outlook is. If it doesn't happen on the same day of the week or the same day of the month, it can't quite do that. But if you have a kind of standard recurring meeting, it'll work just fine. Registration, if you want people to register to come to your meeting, if you want some sort of information about them, you can click registration required. Most of the time, you're probably not going to do that, but if you're hosting a big event and you want to check out people's dietary restrictions or something like that, you might use that. This video, host and participate, it's a little confusing in that it says on and off. All that means is that when you log in either as a host or a participant, when you dial into the meeting, your video starts out as being off. So you as the user or the participant can choose when you would like your video to start, right? That's all it means. So there's a little taskbar across the bottom and you can hit start video and your video will start when you want it to, not when you first log in. That's all that means. So I usually leave it off because I think it's nice for people to have the option to turn their video on when they feel like it, not right when they arrive. Right. Audio, you can do telephony only or VoIP only. Leave it at both. You're probably not going to need to make a choice on that. Meeting options. If this is a meeting that you want people to have to put a password in to participate, you can choose that option right there. This enable join before host, Paul was saying, when people arrive, you might want them to be able to all join and chat with each other until the host is there, until you arrive. I think it's a nice thing to do, but if you want to make everybody wait outside the door, you can do that too. You can choose to mute participants upon entry. If you're having a really big meeting like this, that might be a good idea that everybody arrives muted, but you don't have to. And you do always have the option of using your personal meeting ID as you set up the meeting. Like I said, if this is a meeting with a bunch of participants, I probably wouldn't go that way, and just let the system randomly generate a meeting for you. Yeah?
Is there any advantage for people who are just attending? Or can they just get in without? So the question is there any advantage for someone who's never going to host a meeting and will only participate in meetings? Is there any advantage to them going through the whole sign-in process? I'll let you answer that, Paul.
So there isn't a particular advantage. Really, you're signing in via stanford.zoom.us to really host meetings, to schedule meetings. You can participate in a Zoom meeting without actually logging in. You just have to, our recommendation is you download the actual client, even if you're just a participant, because the experience is fuller. You get all of the features within the application. If you go through the browser, which you can as a participant, you don't get the full subset of features, and the experience is going to be subpar. So we recommend, even for the participant, to download the Zoom app.
Any question?
I started scheduling meetings. I noticed there is no toll-free number option available.
So let me repeat the question. The question for you guys on the phone is that there's no US toll-free number option.
So this kind of goes back to the business model, that difference in the business model between BlueJeans and Zoom. With BlueJeans, Stanford never got charged for toll-free minutes, but with Zoom we are. So the vast majority of the toll-free minutes are domestic in the US. So we've decided as a central organization that's not charging back for this product, that is supplying this product for free for the entire university essentially, is to just delist the toll-free, domestic toll-free number. If you think about it, most domestic toll calls are not charged for via cell phones or via landlines. Most tolls are included in the dial plan that you have with a carrier or a wireless carrier. So we'd essentially be paying for a service that would be provided to us for free in 99% of the cases. So that's the reason why we've chosen not to publish the domestic toll-free number. We are publishing international toll-free numbers where we can for international participants, but domestically, it's a free service for the vast majority of folks.
Other questions? Sir?
Backing up to your previous comment about download the plan.
So the question is, what if a participant is outside of Stanford? Should they download the client?
Correct. The answer, it doesn't matter. The client is free. It's freeware for anyone. It's really the account associated with hosting meetings or scheduling meetings that you have to pay for and that we're supplying to you centrally.
Right, so where should outside?
So Zoom, I mean, when you invite them to a meeting, they're gonna, when they click on the meeting invite, there's gonna be an automatic process that they can go through to download the application. But
It takes, I mean, I think I set up the application in about 30 seconds. So the question was, how long does it take to download the application? It's pretty fast. It's a small app. And I would say that I'll show you some features as we get into hosting meetings. But there are some really fun things you can do where you can all write on the same whiteboard, and you can annotate things. And you won't have those features if you don't have the client downloaded on your machine. So I'd encourage people to do it. I mean, it's a small app. It only takes a couple minutes. So, yeah, back there, sorry.
What is the, for example, if I said I make when would I give out my personal?
Right. So the question is, what's the point of a personal ID? If you're really setting up meetings for other people, it has no point for you, so you could ignore it, right? So, but if you're the kind of person, like on my team, we have 2 employees that are always remote, one that works in Florida and one who lives in Michigan. And so it's not uncommon for us to be sort of chatting online and then say, why don't we just talk to each other in person? And I'll hop into a comments room and one of us will throw the other their personal meeting ID, and then we can talk to each other in person. That's how we use it. Yeah. One more question up here. I'll show you that in just a second. I'm getting to showing what it looks like to schedule for someone else. Yeah, so our question was, how do you schedule for someone else? And I'm going to get there. All right, so actually I'll get there right now. Advanced options, schedule for. So if you are someone who schedules for other people, those other people can give you scheduling rights. And so, for example, my friend Rachel has given me scheduling rights. And so I can choose to schedule a meeting in Rachel's name, and that makes Rachel the host of the meeting. Does that make sense? All right. You can also, if you want, add alternative hosts. So if this is a meeting that you're probably going to get to, but you might not get to, and you'd like someone else in the meeting to have the opportunity to host it if you are not there, you can create an alternative host. The trick about Zoom is that there always has to be a host. Someone has to be logged into the meeting as a host. And so if you are not going to be at a meeting that you have scheduled, you can give that meeting to someone else, right? And so Rachel and I do that a lot for these training things. We just, one of us schedules them and the other one gives the other sort of co-host abilities, right? Yeah.
You'll show us how Rachel allowed.
I will. Yeah, I will do that. All right, any more questions on scheduling? Let's go to the next step. So when you click save, well, that didn't happen the way I wanted it to, did it? Oh, look at that. Oh, I didn't assign a scheduler. Sorry, myself. Wait, what did I not assign? Let's try it now. Oh, there we go. All right. So now you get a meeting. This will take you to this page. And this is where you figure out how you're going to invite people to your meeting. there is nothing native in Zoom that allows you to invite people to your meeting. So you're going to have to invite people into your meeting through your calendar app, right? So you'll have to do that through Outlook. How many of you use Outlook webmail? How many use the client? All right, so for the webmail people, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna click on copy the invitation. You're gonna select all, and you're gonna do Control-C to copy it. Then you're gonna go to your webmail, right? You're gonna open up your webmail, you're gonna start a new meeting, and you're gonna paste this information into it, and then you're gonna invite whoever you want to invite.
Could you back up?
Yeah.
Rewind to how you got to the screen here?
So I just clicked save. So after I scheduled the meeting, it took me right to this page, right? So does that make sense for you who use webmail? You're gonna just copy and paste the information into a webmail. If you use the client, which is what I do, you're gonna click on this little Outlook calendar ICS, and it's gonna download a file for you. Oops, I think I just did it twice. That was fun. And then I could open Outlook. Oops, wow, it's really big. I can make it smaller. Nope, not really. I can move it over. I can't move it over, I lied. Well, nevertheless. This is my little calendar appointment. I'm gonna drag and drop that into my calendar, and then I'll open it up, and all the meeting information will be in there. And from there, you can add attendees. You can add people that you want to invite and send it. Does that make sense? Okay.
So with webmail, it's just the content of this thing, put it in a webmail, and that is easier.
Yep. Yeah.
So just to repeat the question, with webmail, you don't have a plugin with Office 365 because it's a web application, right? You're accessing the web app online. There is no extension that there is no button that you can click that's going to add like schedule a Zoom meeting in the webmail. So you have to just schedule a meeting within webmail and then copy this information into your
Oh, you mean the webmail
calendar.
Calendar.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In the webmail calendar,
Yeah.
you schedule a meeting and then copy and paste that info. Okay. Calendar invite.
All right. Now, let me see if I can find my client. Oops. Oh, look, I backed up my machine while we were here. All right, if you have the client open, everything is so giant. I'm not going to be able to get to it. Maybe this, I can look at that. It wants to be at the top, but I can't make it smaller. All right, well, we'll just live with it. If you are in your Zoom, I can't make it, I want to make it smaller. How do I do that? Oh, there we go. All right. Tricky. If you are in the client, it still won't make it small enough to fit on the screen. Well, I guess it does for you guys. If I want to take a look at my meetings, I click on this. This is where all my meetings are. And I can also choose to schedule a meeting from right here. And if you click on that, it just gives you the same thing. So this is similar to scheduling when you're in the web portal. I mean, it just gives you kind of all the same options to do those things.
This is the client.
That's the client, yeah.
Loading palette.
This voting palette, that's part of Zoom. I'll show it to you later.
She's a presenter. She's presenting, so she has the
So, yeah, I'll show it to you. All right.
Actually, whenever you're putting in a bar like that,
Yeah,
it's always on.
Yeah, I'll show it to you because there's all kinds of cool things you can do with it. But let me get through this first. All right. So now, if you want to do, if you want to schedule a meeting through the Outlook client, you can click on Meeting, and right here, if you've downloaded the plugin, will be an Add Zoom Meeting feature, and you can click on that, schedule the meeting. The only thing you can't do here is you can't add alternative hosts. So if you know you're going to need to have more than one host, you should probably schedule it through the web portal. But if it's just going to be you, you can put in all the information you need right there and schedule the meeting. Add your invitees and send it off.
What
once you schedule, can you go into the web portal and edit, like add
Mhm.
your alternative?
So she asked if once you schedule, you can go into the web portal and make changes like add an alternative host, and you can. So any meeting that you schedule through any interface, whether it's the Outlook client, the Zoom client, or the portal, will show up in My Meetings in the web portal. All right.
You can also, while you're in a meeting,
Yeah. All right. Let's go back to what do we want to do next. All right. So let's start a meeting. There we go. All right. Oh, and I know I promised I would show you how to set up someone else. Where's that? What a meeting. Yeah. No, but no, if I want to give someone
Oh,
else
scheduling privileges?
privileges.
So go down. So you
Is
were
it here?
there.
Oh, I was
Yeah.
there. Yeah, that's right. Okay. So if you want someone else to give you scheduling permission, they need to go into their account in Zoom, right? So not your account, their account, and they need to go to meeting settings, and they're going to scroll down to schedule privilege. And right here, they can click on add, and they can add the email of anybody they want to give permission to schedule for that. Does that make sense? And once they've done that, then it'll show up on your drop-down list when you're scheduling meetings. Yeah. So the question is, when you choose an alternative host, can you pick just anybody, or do you have to have their permission? You do not have to have their permission. You can just assign that to anyone you feel like it.
but it has to be a Stanford.
It does have to be a Stanford Zoom user, yeah, but you can be an outside person, but it can be anybody you want. Look at that new delegating power you have. All right. So let's talk a little bit about, yeah.
That's what the faculty delegate to us.
Right, so that's what the faculty will do to, or your executive or whoever it is you schedule for will do for you. So they'll have to go into Zoom, they'll have to log in at least once to get to their profile settings. And then they'll have to give you access, right? And the instructions for how to do that are on your cheat sheet. So you should be able to do that. And it's a one-time process. Once they've given you access, you have it, right? All right. So starting a meeting is pretty easy. If you're in the Zoom client here, you just click on start right here. Or if you're like, is that the meeting I mean to be starting? You can always open it and double check it and then start it here. You can start meetings through the client in a similar way. Let's see. Julie's in the way. But if you go to your meetings here, when you hover over them, you'll have the option to start them and the client. And then, of course, in an Outlook, you just open the meeting and click on the link like you would any other web conference, right? So starting a meeting is pretty easy. So let's talk a little bit about meeting stuff. Let's see. I wonder if I can get back. Oh, wait. Oh, look at that. There's all of our participants. Okay. How do I want to show people. How do I do that?
Sure.
Like I want to show, I start the video? No. I want to show all the participants so I can show gallery view and things like that.
Oh,
Where's
while
that?
you're sharing.
Oh, I can't while I'm sharing? Let's see.
So you
Oh, but I can, but then nobody can see me.
can show the one.
That's true, I can. All right, let's do that. That's true.
Sharing.
I guess so, huh? All right, I'll go back to my slide deck. In a minute to get there. All right, this is scheduling. We did all that. Okay. Look at that.
Wait till everybody defaulted to that video. Click on that.
I would see all 35 people actually.
I think it was one of those picture-in-picture
Right. Yeah.
Sharing.
So when you are running a meeting, there are a couple of things that you can see on the screen. You can do active speaker view. So if you're not sharing anything like slides or a whiteboard or anything like that, you can set the default for the meeting to be that whoever is talking will be the one who shows up on the big screen, and then all the other people are little right there. Zoom is smart enough to know who's talking. It can hear, right? So it'll do that for you. If you just want everybody to be sort of equal size, you can choose something called gallery view. And actually, you can have a really large meeting with gallery view. You can have a lot of folks who are all talking to each other that way. In fact, this one has so many people that there's a second page of people. I think it's unlikely we're going to have that many people called into a meeting, but you never know.
And in gallery view, if you're not sure who's speaking, there's a green frame around.
Right, so there's a green frame around the speaker. So like in this gallery view, this is the person who's talking. Is there a size limit for how many people who can call in?
So the regular meeting room size has a maximum participant count of 200 people.
Yeah.
And users at Stanford also have access to the webinar hosting privileges, and those can hold up to a maximum of 1,000 participants, with only 50 being active. So it's like 50 to many kind of format.
All right. So here's some other features when you're hosting a meeting, things that you can do. If you want to, you know, when you're talking with your group of people and they say, oh, Joe should be in this meeting, and you want to invite Joe to that meeting right then, you can click on this little icon, this little icon down here called invite. And you can invite them using email. You can invite them using their Stanford contact. You can invite them by phone. So we were talking about this in another training today, that sometimes someone calls in or connects to the meeting but doesn't want to use the audio through their computer, that then they have a hard time figuring out which number to dial. You can actually call them. So you can put their name and their whatever phone number they have right here, and you can have the meeting call them, and they can answer and be part of the meeting right away. So you can do that. You can also invite a room system. So if you happen to know the information about a particular room system that you want to invite, you can do that as well. So if you know a bunch of folks are sitting in a room somewhere and they can't for some reason log in, you can log them in from your end. Make sense? All right. Participant meeting management. This is particularly fun in hosting a meeting, especially with a lot of people. Lots of people will call in and not mute themselves. So you might want to pop onto your meeting management screen and mute all, unmute all, mute individual people. There's also a feature in here where you can send somebody into a waiting room. So if you don't want someone to hear something you're going to say, you can kick them out, at least for a short period of time, and then bring them back in when you're ready. So you can do all kinds of things. You can also chat with people here, so we'll talk more about that, but you have some control over the host. You can also just completely kick someone out of your meeting. Yeah.
Prior, we had trouble with people double muting themselves. They'd mute their phone, and then they'd be muted, and then it would oscillate, and they, you know, so they're having sound come through, so you mute them, and then they mute themselves. How do you handle it?
I don't think so. The question is, if someone mutes from their side and you mute from your side, then it's caused problems before. I haven't found that to be the case. I found that when I've muted somebody, if they clicked on that mute button, they unmuted themselves. So the system seems to know if you're muted or not. That's been my experience with it so far.
So somebody's having a conversation with you out on a corner or at a coffee shop, and there's been no one.
Yeah.
You know, you want to mute them, and then they try to mute them. You know.
Yeah, my experience with it has been that if you mute somebody, they're muted regardless. I mean, they might be able to unmute themselves, but you're not going to get a double mute situation. I haven't found that yet.
Mute themselves through Zoom or their phone.
So if they're dialing in from a phone to their meeting, they would have to mute themselves through their phone. If you're the host, the only way to mute them is through the application. So that you know, as a central kind of registrar or someone who's administering the meeting, your only way is going to be the app. Their only way is going to be through the telephone because that's the only.
Yeah,
That's
because
what
if
I've got.
they're not aware of the wind noise creating
Right.
havoc in the meeting,
Sure.
so you mute them via
So
the host app, and then
Sure. I
Yeah.
would maybe just let them know. So this goes back to kind of the video that we were watching right at the beginning of this thing in terms of proper conferencing etiquette. And as a host, I would just let them know, oh, I'm going to mute, you know, there's a lot of background noise. I'm going to mute you when I'm talking so that they know that there might be something. They don't have to mute themselves or something like that. But I understand there's a little bit of confusion. I'm not sure with PSTN whether or not if you mute them centrally and then they click their mute button, whether it cancels each other out.
and then they try to talk, you can't hear
You
them.
can't hear them, yeah.
You see their lips move, and you unmute them.
Yeah.
I just wondered if there was a
So-
savvy way of.
There is a,
In the application itself, it's visible. So if you mute them centrally and they're using the application, they see that they're muted.
yeah.
Better than mute
Yeah.
to mute through Zoom,
Yeah.
not to mute them.
And as a participant, you have a raise your hand feature. So if you know that you've been muted because everybody's been muted, or you're a problem child and the host muted you, there's an option somewhere in here under chat, I think,
Yeah, it's a chat.
to say raise my hand, and that raises your hand so the host of the meeting knows that you want to ask a question and can either unmute you or tell you to wait. Yeah. So the meeting settings. So the question is, does anybody beside the host have meeting settings? So everybody has a little control panel. It just has different things on it. So mine as a host has manage participants, but as a participant, I would just see participants here and I would know who the participants are. So I have a couple of special things. I have remote control because I'm a meeting manager, and I can give control over to other people. But other participants cannot mute each other, right? Only the host can mute people. Yeah, I think you can. Yeah, you can hide the bar if you're in a meeting. I've never tried to hide the bar.
Click on that,
More.
or on your
Is it in the Zoom app? Wait, where is it? Oh, here it is.
Okay, so then go to window and then always show meeting controls. Uncheck that, then it'll hide.
I'll just be around for a second.
Oh, well. Give it a second.
Oh, it's supposed to.
It's supposed to.
Maybe if you're in a meeting and you have to log out back or something, but that is the option that would hide this bar after a certain time.
You can also go into your meeting settings under accessibility. Check the box there. Okay.
For the record, everyone who's sitting in this room can see what Julie's showing, but nobody remotely can see that.
Yeah, nobody can see my control bar. None of the remote people can see my control bar, but they can see their own control bar.
Yeah.
Right, so everybody who's remote has their own control bar.
And it looks just like what's on the screen at the bottom of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The control bar is on the bottom too. All right, participants. Meeting participants, you can chat with participants. So that's one of your options. We'll talk about chat in a minute. Let's see. Sharing, oh yeah, is there a question? Yeah. So the question is, can you pull a report about who attended the meeting?
So Julie did mention that one of the options is a registration thing as people log into the meeting. So you could definitely track via registration.
But only if you have the
and
registration.
I was actually gonna go and check right now what it says in the web portal in terms of your previous meetings, like what kind of information you can get. But you might be able to get things that way. But if you really need concrete attendance, I would do registration option.
Yeah. All right, so sharing the screen controls. In Zoom, you have the opportunity to share things in a variety of ways. You can share your entire desktop, which is what I'm doing now. You can share just a Microsoft PowerPoint or just one of the things that you have, one of the applications you have open on your desktop. You can also share a whiteboard, which maybe I'll do that now because that's fun to do. You share whiteboard. Come on. All right, so now I have a whiteboard and I can draw on it, which is fun. What's particularly fun is that anybody else who's logged into this meeting can draw on it. So if y'all click on annotate, you should have the ability to either type text or draw on my whiteboard. Nobody seems to be doing that. No? There they go. Now they're drawing and writing. Look how fun that is. All right. I'm putting you all away. My cursor is done here. All right. Ew, my cursor does not like that.
Too many people.
There's too many people. I have to go around the whiteboard to close it. Bye, whiteboard. Oops. Let's go back to my desktop. Wait a second.
Actually, the whiteboard, save it then?
Yeah, you can save the whiteboard. The question is, can you save the whiteboard? Oh, desktop. There you go. The other thing that I can do is I can click annotate here, and I can start drawing just on what I'm talking about. And other people can do that too if you're allowing them to do that. So that's kind of fun. See? Other people can do that. And I can clear other people's drawings, and I can clear all the drawings. That's very exciting. All right. Now it's going to be out of control. All right, y'all. Let's see if we can move on. That's it. All right. Another feature is the ability to pause the sharing. So if you're going to be, stopping one kind of sharing, you want to go to another thing, you can pause it so that people can't see what you're doing if you're opening up another application or a video or something like that. So that's just this little choice here, pause sharing. You click on it again, it resumes sharing. So it's kind of a clean, nice thing to do, but depends on how formal and fancy you want to be. What's your question? How does that work? So the question is there an option to share the presentation and the speaker at the same time? That's a participant option. So the people who are, because I'm a host, I don't want to see all the people across the top of my screen, right? But the participants get that automatically.
So if, like right now, I'm logged into this Zoom meeting as well from my laptop, and not only am I seeing the content that Julie is presenting, but on the right-hand side, I see a strip of her talking, the video of her talking as well. So you do see the participant or the host
talking,
talking as the presentation on one screen. In room systems that have two screens, you might even have one screen dedicated to the content and the other screen dedicated to the actual presenter, the video of the presenter.
Make sense? Okay. All right, moving along. All right, we talked about drawing, so we don't need to do that. Remote control, you can give control of your meeting to someone else using this remote control bit here. So Rachel is a great example of this. Do you want to share it?
I used this not too long ago when my husband was out of town and he needed to get a file on his computer at home. So we jumped on a Zoom call. I gave him remote control over his computer that was in front of me, and he found that file, which was weird. I never been able to find it, so it worked.
Yeah. So when you give people remote control, you're not just giving them control of the meeting, you're giving them control of the machine you have in front of you. So be thoughtful who you give control to.
So, and that's done by first sharing your screen, and then allowing a participant remote control of your computer. So first you share, and then provide remote access.
All right.
Another use case might be if you have a presentation, but you have another speaker, and you just want to give them control so they can control the slides.
Do the cameras in the conference rooms show the speaker. That would have to.
So, yeah,
Cameras would move depending on the.
So that's more to do, the question was the cameras in video conference room systems moving on their own to track the speaker. That really depends on the hardware in that video conference room. Some are advanced and they track, others are static and capture the entire room. So it really depends on the codec or the camera.
So when you were seeing the view with the primary person speaking as big and everybody else small, all those people are using webcams on their laptop, right? And so the only thing that Zoom is tracking is where the sound is coming from. But if you're in a big room, yeah, it depends on how the room is configured. This little more choice over here gives you chat. Zoom has a really cool feature. I'm not going to talk much about it, but it's called breakout rooms. So if you have a large meeting and you want to send people off to chat with one another in smaller rooms, you can do that. It's really fun to do. You can also record. We'll talk about that in a minute. Then, of course, you have options, audio settings, and things like that here. Let's see. Let's talk about next. In meeting chat. Let's see if we can do that just for the fun of it. For chat. Oops. All right. So this is the chat that's currently happening in this meeting right now with all the folks who are online. So everybody has the option to chat. You can chat with everybody right here. So I could send a note to everyone. Hi, everybody. And they can send a note back. Or I can send a note directly to one person by choosing who they are and chatting with them. Chats can continue after the meeting closes, and I believe chat content can be saved. Is that correct? No?
Chat to everyone is saved
if you're recording the meeting.
And it's persistent after you end the meeting and the chat client.
Within the Zoom client, if you end the meeting, if there was an active chat going on, it'll stay active within the client. All right. Chat. John says you can get a TXT file of the chat with the recording. Yeah. So see, talk to me without even having to talk to me. All right, so let's move on. I'll put this back where I had it because I like it at the top. Yeah, so that's chat. I showed it to you live, so we don't need the slides. Recording. So when you are the meeting host, the bottom of your screen, you'll have this toolbar, and one of the choices you have is record. There are two places you can save that recording, or choose to save that recording. One is on your computer, and one is within the Zoom web app, right, which is saving it in their cloud. This is best practice. I'm an old video producer, and I used to manage all of the WebEx videos that came through VMware. And what happened was a lot of times people would save them within their own WebEx account, and then they would leave the company, and I would spend 3 days downloading all of those files and putting them somewhere else so people could look at them. And this is happening with us here with BlueJeans, right? If you save things in the BlueJeans app, now you're gonna have to go download them and find a place to put them. So best practice for video conferencing videos is to save them to your computer. And then if you need other people to be able to see them, put them somewhere else. So put them in a Box account, put them, you know, if they're public, put them on YouTube, wherever you want to put them. But I would recommend always when you're recording meetings to download them and save them on your computer. That makes sense? Let's see, and I'll give you the standard notice. Be careful for protected health information when you're recording. And then this is my spiel on where to put them. All right. And then when you're within the Zoom app, if you have saved them in the web portal, one of the little choices you'll have here on the side is recordings, and you'll be able to find them all there, but don't do that. So, all right, ending the meeting. Right here on the right side, you can end the meeting. If you are the host and you click end meeting, Zoom will want to know if you want to give someone else host privileges. So if you're leaving early, Zoom will ask you to give, Zoom will give you the opportunity to make someone else the host so the meeting continues. Otherwise, you just say goodbye. All right. Support and additional training. If you go to zoom.stanford.edu, you will find the Zoom page. On that page, there is training and support choices. There's some more classes that we're teaching. They're going to be similar to this, so you're not going to get anything more or different than this if you come to one of our general training classes. Free support is available from Zoom. So here's what I'll tell you about that. Zoom has support people online that you can live chat with at support.zoom.us. So when we were teaching one of the first classes, somebody asked us a question we didn't know, so we didn't know the answer to. So they went to Zoom support and asked a Zoom tech the question and got the answer while we were in the class. So the Zoom support is really, really good. So I would encourage you to use it, ask them questions. They have a million little tiny videos about how, like 1-minute introduction videos that are quick and easy. This is how I learned how to use a lot of this. So support.zoom.us. And their documentation is really good. So, particularly if you're wanting to use one of the advanced features that we haven't talked about, like breakout rooms or registration. Question?
Are there any captioning capabilities for participants?
So the question is, are there any captioning capabilities for participants who are hearing impaired? I don't know. Do you know that?
Yeah, so there is a closed captioning function that you can bestow on someone, and what that allows that other person to do is essentially to live type, so be a stenographer, essentially during the meeting and write down exactly what's being talked about. So it's not like the application does some sort of encryption and tries to understand what you're saying, but rather it's a person that you assign a function of writing in closed captions, and then they show up on the screen in real time. They do get saved if you record, but you need a person who's actually typing out what's being talked about.
So does posting a video address accessibility issues? That was the question.
So
It saves the caption.
Oh, since it saves the captioning.
So the only way it saves the captions is if you have a captioning function. You assign a captioning function, right? And someone actually does the typing. So otherwise, there's no closed caption. No, no, you cannot.
You cannot caption it
has
after
to be
the fact.
real time.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So support,
It is. I do want to say it saves as an MPEG-4 file, so it's a very standard video format, and you can post back, add captions as far as I understand to an MPEG file in different ways, but the only way to do it through Zoom is through the live, just in time as the meeting is happening.
All right. There's more live training. So for those of you folks who have colleagues who can't come to this, Zoom's doing a series of webinars that you can log into and learn about it. And then we're down to tips.
Yeah, so if you could go back to the other, just one more thing. So Zoom, right, themselves run weekly, almost daily training sessions that anyone here can attend on their own time. And there's even a webinar that is only Q&A specific. So it really allows folks, it's supposed to be interactive and really open form, that you can register and participate whenever you want, when it's offered, right, via these training links. On top of that, there's this red button, orange button in the corner. I think it's a support button, but really that button on this page also takes you to pre-recorded sessions for how to do webinars or how to host meetings. A lot of the same topics as here, but you can watch them at your own time without even participating in a webinar, right? So we encourage you, if you have any additional questions about functionality or features, to utilize these resources as much as possible because they're available, they're free, and they're at your request.
Yeah.
My partner had asked if when there's a Zoom conference with high stakes, is there anything for it?
So the question is, when you're doing a high stakes conference, is there anyone who can come and support you?
So we have a new service within UIT called video. Well, it's not a new service. We've had video conferencing services for a while. Within video conferencing services, we have folks who are able to help prepare for the meeting, or even run the meeting in real time, help troubleshoot it, and have a person on site. So the website is actually...
I just brought it up. It's uitstanford.edu/video conferencing.
Yeah.
And you can go find out about folks who can come support an event, support a meeting room.
So, and you want to support an event.
Yeah.
That's the support and event services. There's different tiers and so on. So I would encourage you to get inquire and send a request there if there's a VIP event that you want curated.
I guess if it's booked.
Yes, correct.
This is for, the
so
question is, does it cost
person,
something? And of course it does.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Time and material. It looks like there's one more question.
One more question? Yeah. So the question is, do we have a Zoom representative that can come sit in on a meeting and help us run it?
So not specifically. So we encourage you again to utilize our services because those are available. But tier 1 support in general for Zoom is outsourced to the vendor, to Zoom themselves. So if you have issues or problems, we encourage you, and the numbers that are listed, and submitting a ticket directly with Zoom, and they have a really quick response time. I know it's not a person sitting there and curating, but we weren't able to get that with Zoom, unfortunately. So.
Question here.
The faculty I support most of the time. Should I promote Zoom or should I leave them alone?
So the question is, the faculty that she supports mostly uses Skype, so should she leave them alone and let them do their own thing, or should she promote Zoom? Rachel, depends on the faculty.
So our general line about promoting Zoom is that it is the official web conferencing tool for Stanford faculty, staff, and students. We encourage everyone to use it because of its interoperability and all of the things and functionality that we just described. We can't force anyone to do anything at Stanford, as you guys are well aware. But there are definitely benefits that you probably can see and tell from this, including single sign-on and including encryption and security, and it integrates well with the rest of the Stanford community. That we hope will motivate people to use Zoom, and on top of it, it's free. So you can't beat the price either. So we hope all of these things encourage our staff and faculty to use this tool. But this isn't the type of organization where anyone tells anyone else what to do.
I saw another hand up somewhere. Yeah.
So
we're going to look at reports is what we're doing. And we're trying to. Reports on the bottom. Reports.
So we have usage statistics for the entire site. I'm not sure for personal license, like for non-admin, whether or not you're able to see just your usage information.
I can't.
And
I don't see
reporting.
anything. I'm
Yeah,
not
so
an admin, and I don't see
You
anything.
see, so Julie has scheduled meetings before. You
And
would
I've
think
run
she would
meetings.
be able to run reports off them, but this tab is accessible only to administer it. You can play around with it. You can see if maybe you have access to that stuff.
What's in meeting? Oh wait, if I go into meeting, there's some information in meeting.
So if you click on that,
So
in
what
the
do
meeting,
I
or
get?
if you generate, I don't know.
Let's see. Unable to generate reports since the meeting does not require registration. So
There you
it's
go.
a registration.
Going back to the registration.
There we go.
Feedback.
Yes.
If possible, I thought it was possible. I got for their income. I'm trying to help find.
So the feedback is she liked getting information about where users were logging in from for a webinar. Yeah. Yeah. That was it.
Yeah, so it's a great point. The way that Zoom is set up, and because we've information security office has forced us to encrypt end-to-end every single Zoom meeting that we're running from Stanford, we're unable to currently gather automatically information of where people are joining from. So previously with BlueJeans, we could at least say, okay, from the US, this was the amount of calls, or internationally, these were the amount of participants. We can't do that with Zoom currently. So the only way to really get that additional information is through the registration info. So we encourage you, if you need that stuff, to really try to use the registration option as often as possible.
Another question?
I was just really curious why we haven't, I never saw that.
Sure.
But I know there were problems with things that I was we're going to and there were a lot of problems.
So the question is, why did we switch from BlueJeans to Zoom?
So it's a highly political decision, but needless to say, I kind of covered this in the beginning. Is we did have a very thorough evaluation of different tools. BlueJeans got a really bad rap the first couple of years because of outages, because of inconsistency in. Yeah, so there were a lot of people across the community who were unhappy with it, enough to create enough badwill for us to definitively say we want to go with it. Yeah. And then we did this evaluation, and Zoom came out on top.
It's interesting because when I first started, people were talking about WebEx being what was going to be the next tool, and it turns out that people actually really liked Zoom so much that's the direction that Stanford went. So it really was what works best for most people. BlueJeans is like 2 blocks from my house in Mountain View, actually. I drive past them all the time. Yeah. Anyway.
Correct. So
yeah.
Our community,
this is a rat hole.
Our community of users should not worry about price when it comes to web conferencing. So whether or not you're using Zoom or BlueJeans or WebEx for that matter, we don't want you to have to worry about paying anything. So just FYI, we haven't really talked about this, but WebEx is available for Stanford faculty, staff, and students. So we're not promoting it as the primary option, but it is available, it is accessible. So if you have a personal preference, once again, we can't force you to do anything, but it is available. And so if you want to use WebEx, you can. Yeah, and it kind of goes off topic from our discussion today. Yes.
I'm just wondering as a user why I don't remember the room it does.
Annotation. So the question is, what kind of features do you get from Zoom that you didn't get from Blue Jeans? Annotation is one of them. I didn't really use Blue Jeans.
When we shared a video and the audio was heard on the remote side. There's a number all around better experience. So far, Blue Jeans for me, it always drops off. I haven't had an issue. Better quality sound, better quality.
All right, so some tips. We talked about this before, but unencrypted room systems. So if you're going to log in from a room system that has a camera in the room, if that system is not encrypted, the Stanford version of Zoom is not going to let it log in. Everything has to be encrypted. So if you know that you're going to be consistently talking to somebody off campus who doesn't have an encrypted room, WebEx is your option, right? Or if you have a room in your building that you use all the time and it's not encrypted, you should probably call your IT folks and have them encrypt the room because it should be encrypted, right? So be aware of that. And it'll be pretty obvious to you that you're not being able to log in because you're not encrypted. We talked about this. The alternative host function is only available when you schedule a meeting through the web portal. A single host can schedule up to 5 meetings at a time, not using a personal meeting room. So I can be considered the host on 5 concurrent meetings, right? Can't actually log in as the host of 5 concurrent meetings, but I can be scheduled to be the host of 5 concurrent meetings, right? And we're just going to hammer this into you people. There is a transition guide page, Blue Jeans to Zoom. You'll find it there, and actually, that's on another slide too.
Real quick, the alternative host and the scheduling up to 5 people, I think that was.
Yeah.
You had one moderator code, you're the moderator responsibility to see out your code. There's a host key.
There's a host key.
But you can set up your meeting key without a host key or with a. So it just has to.
Same thing. That's your personal meeting room. That's the personal meeting room number I told you about. Yeah. So best practices, this goes back to some of that stuff we saw in that funny video at the beginning, right? Before the meeting, test your audio and video. Just make sure that it works so that you're ready to go when the meeting starts, especially if you're the host. Have the content you intend to share prepared ahead of time. Close other applications that do funky things. Like if you run Slack as your chat window or Jabber as a chat window, you ought to close it so that somebody doesn't ask you a really embarrassing question in the middle of your meeting. Hosting a meeting, mute your mic if other people are speaking. If you're a participant, mute yourself. That's just a nice thing to do. Prevents, your dog from being part of the meeting if you're at home. Use the gallery view for smaller meetings or team meetings. It's nice to be able to see everybody the whole time, particularly if somebody is going to be, popping a zit. You get to watch that. Very entertaining. Share your screen, share specific applications. You can use the new share feature to pause between sharing so that you go from one application to the other without a lot of mess. Use the annotation tools. I think it's fun. I think it's interesting. I think it keeps people engaged. And then, camera things. It's interesting. Every time I've been in this room for a meeting, this camera has been sitting on that table coming up at the presenter from underneath. Now, I'm a video professional, and that makes me nuts, right? And so, it's still coming up at me, but it's not coming up at me from 4 feet away, like at my knee level, right? And also coming from that direction, I had a screen behind me, so I was backlit, which makes me look terrible. No one should ever be backlit. And so we messed around before the meeting. We pulled it over, and because it was so short, we're using this very fun Kleenex box as our tripod. But I think it makes a difference, and I think it makes a difference particularly for people who are remote to be able to see you well. So be thoughtful about where you put yourself in the room. Don't put yourself in front of a window. Try to get your camera level with you. Just some things like that. It makes it a little cleaner. It makes it a nicer experience for people when you can. So there you go. Any other questions for us? Yeah.
Can you say more about setting up the meeting without a host? Because you have to designate a host.
You actually,
So the question is, say more about setting up a meeting without a host key.
you're setting up a meeting, there's a checkbox. But if you keep in mind, if you don't have a host for the meeting, you don't have
Or mute people.
So the other thing that I wanted to mention, if you will be using your personal meeting ID, Zoom, the vendor has encouraged individual users to not use the personal meeting ID in recurring meetings like that go out a year, right? So if you have a personal meeting that with 5 people once a week for the next year, because that meeting ID never changes, and so people can just jump into that room and start conversing without you even being there. You'll get notified if someone jumps into your room, but unless you have like that host key, right, a password to get in, anyone can jump into that space and start conversing in it. So the vendor's recommendation is that people use a randomly generated meeting ID instead of their personal ID when scheduling upcoming recurring meetings. If you have scheduling recurring meetings, make sure your automatic record function is potentially unselected, especially if people are able to join before you as a host, because it will start recording immediately as someone comes in there. And so you're going to get like immediately potentially like 30 different recordings of just like 3-5 seconds long of people just jumping into your room. It's starting to record and then stopping as soon as they see no one's in the room again. So there's a few things to play around with to make sure that you're kind of optimized for your settings. But
by default though, automatic recording is not turned on.
Yeah.
So don't have to worry about that.
So could we show the additional training website just really quickly for folks? Can we go to that link? Yeah, the Stanford Zoom training, the one that we built.
The one that we built?
Yeah, the third
This one?
link down.
This one.
Yeah.
No, do that. I'm gonna try to copy and paste.
You should just go there.
It's a little funky.
Zoom.
So we go to learn more here.
Yeah, and then go down. There's a training. All training.
You all train.
You all training.
So if you go to Stanford, zoom.stanford.edu, there's a training box. There's more training options. So if your work group or your department wants to sign up for training, it's the session.
So this is on-site training. There's Zoom training that you can sign up for, and then there's on-site training at Stanford that your groups and departments can sign up for in addition to that. The Zoom training is there too, in the ones that are here for us.
Yeah.
So Zoom, there's 2 kinds of Zoom training. So there's Zoom training that Zoom is doing for Stanford. So there's some webinars that you can call in, and they're listed on this page. But Zoom runs webinars all the time for all their users. And so you can go to their support page and go to a webinar with them anytime you want to, right? Anytime they have one loaded.
I think you mentioned it earlier, but I just want to clarify. If we have international participants, do they have a number or?
So
The question is, do international participants have a toll-free number?
We've tried to, and we're in the process of getting as many international toll-free numbers as we can. If you're seeing a country, an international toll-free number that you require for your participants, please let us know. So submit a help ticket or information ticket. as a product manager, my name is Paul Vladimirsky. Again, my email is Paul V as in Victor and number 2 at stanford.edu. So you can make that request directly with me if you'd like. But yeah, if you see missing countries, please let us know, and we'll try to amend that if we can.
I am. The question is, are you willing to share your slides so you can do localized recaps? I'm absolutely happy to do that.
So I know we're sharing this recording on the tech briefing site. Are we able to share the slide deck on that?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. So we'll share the slide deck on the tech briefing slide website.
Yeah.
I would like a clarification on webmail events, because you showed that by scheduling an event in Zoom, and if it's with webmail, then you put it into webmail.
Yes.
But I think it might be the opposite case, that you have an event with webmail, and now you want to, or you try to do a conference.
So the question is, if you already have an event scheduled in the web version of Outlook, how do you then make it a Zoom meeting? So what you would do is you go into the web portal and create a Zoom meeting for it, right? That matches the time, right? Copy and paste that information and go back and update your Outlook calendar invite with the Zoom meeting information.
Is there any specific setup prior for doing?
So the question is, is there any specific setup required to use the Zoom application? As far as I know, there's not. It runs on, is there any browser that's particularly, I mean, any web browser works for it. Works on Android and iOS phones. So yeah, I mean, that's the beauty of it. It seems to work across platforms very nicely. Well, I think we have hit time, y'all. Thank you for your, one more specific question.
Screen sharing.
Screen sharing.
My boss wants to know if you are
Other things. So the question is that someone wants to know if you can see if one of your participants has disengaged and is not watching your presentation anymore. I doubt it. I don't know. I mean, that's a great feature, though.
So, yeah. I'm not in the webinars. In the webinars, is there a way to monitor?
So the question is there a way as a host that you can tell if one of your participants has checked out and is browsing other things on their own machine rather than watching you? I don't think so.
Yeah, so I mean, when you're sharing your content, it's only sharing what you see on your screen. It's not typing in what other people are doing on their screen. So, you know, there isn't a
I'm
way
sure
to
that violates
monitor
privacy laws
other
somehow.
devices.
Yeah, but knowing that they are not your thing. I don't think so. That's a great feature.
That's hard, especially when people are using multiple monitors. When people, you know, it's really hard to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it only, especially with multiple monitors, you never know. Someone could be in their web application for webmail application, but really has the web conference on the other screen.
Yeah.
And they could be participating, just, you know,
multitasking.
typing up an email. So it's really a hard question to.
Actually, we just found out that there's attendee attention tracking.
Ooh, attendee attention tracking.
Turn on in your settings, and as a host.
Where is it?
It's within your meeting settings. So the indicator displays in the participant panel next to the name of any participant who does not have Zoom in focus for more than 30 seconds when someone is
Here
sharing
it is.
the screen.
Attention tracking.
When someone is sharing.
Yeah, when someone's sharing the screen. So the host would be able to notice next to that participant that for 30 seconds they weren't on.
They weren't. So is it
like they click off?
Yeah,
They click
they're
off
on a different
window or something.
So it's checking to see if they're paying
Yeah, so while the host is sharing, so the host sees an indicator in the participant panel if an attendee does not have Zoom in focus during screen sharing. So it won't show you, like, if you're in a view where you're just looking at everybody's faces, it's not going to do attention tracking. But in the way that I am now, where I'm sharing my screen, it'll notify the host if people have clicked out and are doing something else. So there it is. Nice. Big Brother is watching you. Well, thank you all for coming. Thank you for your great questions. Have a great afternoon. Bye, everybody on the phone.
Thank you.